Welcome to Al and Ha, two friends talking crypto and sports. Let's get it. This is Ha from the Al and Ha podcast. We are not financial advisors. Our views are our views. Please do your own research.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Out in the Hot Podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into a little crypto news, kind of some different stuff coming out. Obviously, with the inauguration, with the
Yeah,
politics and everything going in. But
yeah. Ripple guy, a guy from Ripple is Biden's pick for the OCC to replace Brian Brooks.
I did see that.
So
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, me either. But it just goes to show, that this is all a game. This whole SEC thing it's all a game. It's a ploy. I personally think it's a ploy to just get the retail people out. It's getting us out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy on Coinbase no more. And then the kicker about that is Coinbase. This is just an American rule, or the FCC is just American. Coinbase stopped purchasers from around the world. No one can purchase XRP on Coinbase anymore,
which is crazy.
And
you think about it, like we've talked about, like the American exchanges. Was it Uphold is really the only one? I mean, Bitrue, Uphold, you can get stuff, but Uphold's really your only on ramp to it.
It is.
And they came out. I think I tweeted out a video, so if you guys go check out the website or the Twitter. But the CEO of Uphold was on video stating that they think that they've had their lawyers looking at it and everything like that. And they're looking at it. XRP is not a security.
Yep.
And obviously,
until someone says it, until someone says it is a security, and we ain't changing it.
We're not.
So there's your on ramp.
And it goes back to kind of proving, you go back to like the innocent until proven guilty. Like, I mean, they haven't been deemed anything, so you would think, and who knows financial laws and all that stuff, but you would think like some of these exchanges would not be under the scrutiny and under the issues if they were repping it. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, it's going to be named this. Like, okay, let's pull it now. But
it's like I said, it's all a game. The coin is not for us. Ripple executives, Ripple people that work for Ripple have said on numerous occasions that this is not a consumer facing, program in coin. It's not for us. So when people wrap their head around that fact that this is what they've been saying this entire time, they needed us to get the system started. But now that the system has started, now they're ready to pass it on to their true purpose, where the true people are they want this for, which is those high rolling infrastructures, those high rolling central banks and all that kind of stuff. They want them to use this coin, so they're phasing us out. And it's going to come a point that potentially where you're not going to be able to buy XRP anymore. And if you are holding, then you are one of the select few that will be able to keep it, because no one else is going to be able to get it. And at that point, they'll do whatever they want with the coin. Whatever price they need it at is what they'll put it at. But if you look at this, play this out in your head, speculate a little bit, and you see where this is going.
Yeah, and there's obviously, we've talked about tinfoil hatty kind of stuff, but we've talked about it like months ago. But like, who's to say what the banks and the financial institutions are in trouble? They want to make money. You could say what you want, but there's a huge bubble with the stock market. Like, how is the stock market hitting all-time highs with the pandemic going on? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Obviously,
last year.
Yeah, and some of them you could see like Amazon and some of those picking up just because of everybody's at home, so that's what you're using. But when you're looking at like stocks hitting all-time highs and unemployment rates at what they are, and people not working and people not having any money, it just makes you sit back and think, like, obviously they need something to hedge what's coming. And we've seen people talk about it like it's a bubble, like it's going to crash. Like at some point
it's going to correct.
It's going to recorrect, because
nothing goes up in a straight line. Right. This has been going up in a straight line.
and in a pandemic. And that's the crazy thing. So, and we've chatted about this, like, who's to say, these institutions, okay, so they get all this XRP and then they pop the price. All of a sudden they bought something at 30 cents, and it's even if you say let's pop it to $1,000, like, look how much money they make. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
all of a
Can do a lot
sudden
of stuff.
they, so again, tinfoil hattie, but it, like you said, there's so much evidence of like people saying it's not for us, like people that created XRP,
Well,
people that,
Volante
well,
just signed, I believe, some. It might have been directly with Ripple or indirectly with Ripple, but the point is they're like $2 or $3 trillion a day in volume. And that's just one use case. Now, what about the other places that are all going to be lighting up when it's time to light up?
right,
There's only so many coins, man. There's only so many coins, and then on top of that, they're preventing the retail buyers from
right.
getting it.
And that's the crazy part. And then you sit there and look at it, and they're preventing. I mean, the initial lawsuit we talked about, like it was up at 70 cents and dove to like
Yeah.
basically what it's at now, right around
Mhm.
high 20. I think it's in the 29 right now or 30.
Yeah. I
But
don't even look anymore.
and I don't either. I mean, I do just to kind of whatever,
Yeah,
but it's one of those like you sit there and think, okay, well, Coinbase is the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world,
on the planet.
and they just halted trading on it, and
Mhm.
XRP didn't fucking budge.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so you that's the crazy part is you sit there and look at, and like when they were Binance US delisted it, and
Mhm.
nothing happened.
Everybody.
Like you're seeing all these like, oh, they're not listing it.
Kraken is about to delist on the 29th, and they're pretty big too. But it ain't gonna mean shit.
But it's not
Nobody's
budgeting.
gonna give a shit.
If this was really an issue, the price would be diving
Mhm.
because it would nobody would be able to get it. But obviously somebody's keeping it afloat.
Yeah, it's all of us that aren't selling it.
Right.
Who bought this dip, because it
Right.
dipped to 17. Not to
Yeah.
saying something that gonna happen here in the near future, whatever the case may be, but when it dipped to 17, anybody that's truly into this and done their research just bought that shit up, and that's why it's hovering around 28 cents right now.
Right.
So basically, for it to drop back down, it's going to be all these people like me and you that bought to have to sell.
Yep.
We ain't selling shit.
Nope. Like we talked about, we're gonna be buying shit in drops.
Yeah.
And I saw a funny like meme today. It was like in in a couple of years when somebody's like, oh, I've got 6 XRP in the bank, and it's the other guy's like sitting there, and it's like the Leonardo DiCaprio picture where he's got like the whatever, and it's got like the ledger, and he's like, oh, that's it, and it's like you're just kind of like, okay, obviously, people don't. But again,
it's gonna be like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If somebody says, yeah, I got 6 Bitcoin right now, damn, man, really? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. But nobody realizes there's cats with thousands of
because at some point it was $1.
Yeah. And
it's all about when you get in.
And like we've said, there's obviously other, and that's the crazy part too. Is we've talked about it too. Obviously, you're going to pick on Ripple. It's the big dog. They're the big company that's pushing it. They're working with all the governments. They're working with all the Fed. And for years they've been. XRP's always been deemed decentralized because they've been trying to work. Ripple's been trying to work with the central banks to get them on board with everything. And what people don't realize is, it's starting to happen. And the funny thing is like it's still going to be decentralized, but they're working with the banks to get in on it. And like Bitcoin, all those people saying like talking all this shit, it's like they're not going to work with you. Like there's no utility, but 2, like you don't want to work with them, and ultimately the banks are going to win. Like,
and the thing is if something goes wrong with Bitcoin or Ethereum, because Ethereum they don't even have like a company. It's just it's more or less people, developers that kind of just develop on their blockchain.
Right.
There's no one to call.
Right.
So if something messes up, who are you going to call? Like that's not going to work.
And it goes back to
the real world.
And it goes back to the companies like Ripple and XRP, but you have Stellar with XLM.
Yes.
So you have all these fintech companies.
Zenfin with XDC.
All these fintech companies that use these certain cryptos because it's that they've tailored their fintech.
VeChain is another one.
Right. Yeah. To work with XDC or XLM or XRP, and And Stellar has tailored their fintech to work with XLM, and that's the most efficient token on its network. And same with Zenfin and XDC. And so it doesn't make any sense to sit there and say like, oh, we're going to sue Ripple and security. If they really sit there and deem, which again we've said over and over again, it's not. But if it were to come out that XRP, if the SEC decided like, yeah, it's a security, like the whole crypto market is fucked.
Yeah.
That's what like people don't realize. I think we touched on it before. There's a picture of like a boat that's sinking, and on the one end it's sinking on the one end, and at the top end that's not in the water is like two guys, and they're like, I'm glad we're not worried about it, and they like somebody labeled it like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then
Yeah.
Ripple is
It
the one
affects
bailing
everybody.
the boat out. But it affects everybody at some point. If they end up getting screwed, it's fucking everybody. And so that's the funny part. And like we've talked about, it's so global that it doesn't really matter what happens in the US. The US is just going to fall behind.
Yep. That's the only negative of this.
Right.
But then with Biden getting in,
Yeah.
then and he's bringing in this Ripple friendly OCC, and hell, the last OCC was crypto friendly as hell.
Right.
So this guy came from Ripple itself. Then it's only a matter of time.
Well, you have that, and then you have the he's that Gary Gensler for the SEC.
Yeah.
Is like I said, I don't know how pro Ripple or XRP he is, but he's been on video calling XRP a cryptocurrency and calling it a currency. And so
he said at a point it was a security.
Right.
At a point, and it was. They'll probably get fined or dinged or whatever the hell that was, but right now it's decentralized as hell.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is what people don't realize. And again, we've touched on, if you just don't know what you're holding and don't do your research, it makes you nervous because we could sit here and we could say all this and we could get screwed out of whatever, but ultimately, like, we feel like we know what we're holding, and it happens, but we really don't think it's going to happen.
No. But the thing is but like you said, if it did happen, then we both put on our big boy pants and we're willing to accept the consequences. Yeah, we're willing to take that risk. But that's what I'm saying. The more research you do, the less you don't really see that as risk. Right. You see the other people, I can totally see how they can see an SEC lawsuit as, oh my goodness, yeah, I can see that. And we saw as the price dove, from 70 cents to 17 cents. But that was all the people that didn't know what they held at the moment. Yeah, and within time, and it could be this year, it can be 2 years, 3 years, but at some point, we are all going to see what XRP really is.
Right, and you're starting to see, like you said, with the new administration, and you're just starting to see across the globe, just news going on about moving to the cryptocurrency. Trying to regulate it, trying to make sure that essentially, and Brian Brooks has stated it multiple times, and so has Christine Lagarde. She's come out and stated it, but just having a regulatory body in charge of, like, like the FDIC is in charge of the central banks.
Yep.
Having somebody, essentially, if we're going to go that route, they need to have regulatory clarity, and basically an oversight committee overseeing everything to make sure there's no fishy shit going on and whatever, which
it's going to hit Bitcoin hard. That's going to hit Bitcoin hard.
Yep.
But there's something with cash, so whatever. But the regulation, when they come with that true crypto regulation, I think it's going to hit Bitcoin hard. Like, it's going to force all the anonymity out of Bitcoin and force it to be on a ledger.
Right.
And
you got to think too, you're going to start saying, again, we talked about, XRP and Ripple working with the central banks. Like, you're going to, if they get deemed, I firmly believe if once the clarity comes out, which it's, according to Brian Brooks, and it should be coming here shortly, but I could see institutions getting out of Bitcoin and throwing a shit ton of money in XRP, because it's one of those, they're familiar. You have all these, like we've talked about, all these people working with the government and within the banking systems that people were in high ups. like moving back and forth between Ripple and the SEC and OCC and JP Morgan and going, you know what I mean? Like,
and they don't have to play by our rules either.
right.
Like the fact that we're all shut out, that is not going to stop them from buying.
Nope.
Because they'll be buying over the counter, they'll be buying directly from Ripple itself, or whatever
Right.
the case may be. When the escrow pops out, you know what I'm saying? They will not be playing by our rules. This is our time, because when the door's shut, if you're not in, you're out.
Right.
Literally. And then they might slow play bringing it back, because it would be, open source, and it is decentralized and all that kind of stuff. But I was listening to Brad Hines today, and he said something very interesting about potentially, what if they did label it a security type thing, not a security in terms you have stock in Ripple, but a security in, like, it securitizes, derivatives or commodities or whatever the case may be. But what if they moved it to a point where if you weren't an accredited investor, and the accredited investor is like, you got to have like $25,000 liquid, and there's a lot of checkpoints to be an accredited investor. But if they say you can only buy XRP if you're an accredited investor, then we're out.
Yeah.
All of us are out, because not all of us. There's some that are accredited investors, but hell, not a lot of motherfuckers we hang around with.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. If you don't have it, you're not going to be able to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So we've touched on that before too. It's like, talking with people, and it's like, move it here, move it there. Like, and you could get on, and it's kind of funny, because you could get on at Coinbase, you could buy USDC or whatever, and move it over to BitTrue, and then buy XRP. So there's ways to get it still currently.
Or go straight to Uphold.
Right.
Or use a debit card, you can get it off right now. But if you use a straight from your ACH, then it's got to sit for 65 days. That's like a dagger heart.
Yeah.
So much interest to be lost. But there are ways to get it still.
Right. Still ways to get it. And like we said, we think it's going to come back. And I think you touched on it last time. I think what's going to happen is they're going to be like, yep, it's a currency or whatever. They're going to get their clarity. And then, like you said, it's going to be like, okay, well, we're going to list it, and it's going to be like on this date. It's going to be like 3 weeks. And by the time it goes back on the exchanges, you regular people aren't getting it. It's going to be at some point.
Buying drops.
Yeah, you can buy a certain amount of it, but it ain't going to be where it's at now. And it goes with, and once that goes, all the other ones are going to go with it. Like it's.
That's when the money flows. The utility will crack. When the clarity comes, it's going to give the green light for all these these financial institutions to light it up.
Right.
They can start using it.
And you touched on it a lot. We touched on it last week, but like, it's just the utility aspect of it. Like, I retweeted a couple articles from Denmark and the UK are using blockchain to develop digital COVID passports.
Yeah.
And so, like, we talked about it fucking last week. Like, we talk about it, we do the research, but then when you're sitting there doing the research, and we're talking about, they're talking about this, that, and then this week, literally 2 countries are now like, they're ready to go with their blockchain COVID passport wallets, and it's like, oh shit, here we go. Like, the research is there, and the crazy part is people just watch the mainstream media, and they get told what they want to think, and you will never see it happening. And so,
but we're the ones with the tinfoil hats on,
right? It's crazy. It's really what it boils down to is people don't want to do their own research. People are lazy. Yeah. It's a generation of
just feed it to me.
We've talked about it with like technology and social media and phones and stuff. It's like the best thing in the world to happen and the worst thing in the world to happen, because you have people that are it's the instant gratification of being able to pull your phone out and look up whatever, or check this or check that, or watch it on TV. You could watch, you could watch TV on your phone. You could do all that. So people, if it takes a little bit of extra time to go research some stuff and have to read articles,
dig into a rabbit hole
to dig into something. But we've touched on that before. Like, how many times you dive down rabbit holes on YouTube just watching stupid ass videos that are literally just funny or whatever, or about, you know, who knows, about cars or highlight tapes from
Yeah, it's what you choose to spend your time on.
and that's the thing
Make time for the things that are important.
is the masses don't do it. And so they literally get told what they get told by mainstream media, and that's what they believe. And you know, we've touched like whether you're left, right, center, like it doesn't matter. And you're going to be, if you, like I said before, you watch Fox, you're going to be told this. You watch CNN, you're going to be told this because that's what they're telling you. They want you to know this because it creates division, it creates hysteria, it creates it essentially it creates sheep because whatever I tell you is what you're going to believe.
Yeah.
And,
I remember they argue with that.
And if you can't just take some time to go, like I said, like you've touched on, like I just said, go down, instead of going down a YouTube rabbit hole of car videos or, you know, stupid fucking like prank videos, go down a rabbit hole of crypto videos or go down a rabbit hole of actually things that are going to educate you because like we've talked about, tinfoil hatty as it is, when you watch Kevin Cage or you watch any of the guys, and they all have their own thoughts and again, tinfoil hats, you know, but they are showing you evidence. They're showing you
a lot of evidence.
They're showing you the links. They're showing you all the stuff. So you can create your own tinfoil hat conspiracy, which they have their own too.
And the thing is all that is just speculation. It's speculation off the information that they're gathering. And when you're gathering information, is you have to be willing to look outside of this country, see an article that's outside of this country, and be like, "Oh, that must be bullshit."
Right?
It might not be. It might be worth your time to actually read that article and see what's going on in Saudi Arabia or see what's going on in the UK or Japan or Singapore, because the world is a lot bigger than the United States.
Yep.
That's something else that I've learned through this whole crypto process. And then world events affect political stuff and financial stuff. It's all connected. And when you start to figure that out, you see how, okay, well, just like how the old new OCC is coming from Ripple. Like, you know what I'm saying? That right there is fintech connecting directly into politics.
Well, here's
directly into politics. And then the last OCC came from Coinbase.
Right, which is the same thing. And so, but when you really think about it, like just the normal, like if I wasn't into this stuff, like the crypto stuff or anything, like I wouldn't know who the fuck the OCC was.
Yeah, me either.
Like, and I didn't until I got into it. And so that's the thing when people aren't into it, and you like people would be into it, like if they're into the financial sector and they're, you know, investing or doing whatever, they're, you know, maybe their job is you know, they work for an investment firm or whatever. I'm sure they know about the OCC and the SEC and all that stuff. But like the fact that like we can sit here and we're talking about the people that have just stepped down or resigned or whatever, and this guy's linked to here and this guy's linked to, like, that's all just info that's out there.
Yeah, floating around.
That again, do you see anything on the news that says, oh, hey, Joe Smith over here has been named OCC, like chair, like nobody talks about it, and so you don't see that on the news because they're too busy.
And that's the news that matters,
right?
Like that's something that matters,
right? They're too busy like blaming this person for that or pointing fingers instead of just giving you facts. And the thing is they don't. And I think you posted something about the other day. It's, you know, the major corporations in this world own like what is it, like 6 or 7 corporations in this world own like essentially everything.
Yeah, that's all it is. How hard is that to coordinate?
Yeah, and so that's when you start seeing again, like, what message do they want to send to the masses?
Mm-hmm.
And again, you talk about people probably get pissed off, you know, call them sheep or whatever, but that's true. Like you're literally just listening, and then you will literally sit there and fight about it because you're being told something, you're not doing any research on your own, but you're going to fight about it. And so,
and then the part that really sets me off is like I'm willing to listen to anything you say, but are you going to listen to what I got to say, or are you just going to dismiss it because it wasn't necessarily shown to you? You know what I'm saying? Like I agree with it stuff too, but you know, it's whatever. It is what it is. But
Yep.
I mean, this evidence of this, financial, great reset, global currency, whatever the hell you want to call it, the evidence of this happening is like it's all around. Like they're taking the
Right.
money away. Like they've been doing it for over a year now. You know what I'm saying? We have all this stuff. We have an OCC that's basically told banks, they can hold no digital assets. Like, what more do you need to see what the hell is going on?
Right. And
Just open your eyes and
open
look
your
at what's
eyes
going on.
and do research. I just pulled it up. So Michael Barr is I couldn't remember his name, but Michael Barr is the guy that has been tapped for the OCC. And he's a former board member of Ripple and former U.S. Treasury official.
Like, come on.
And it's like, again, and then you talk about the guy that took over the SEC, like he's crypto friendly. Like when you can see it, again, just digging the little rabbit holes, and I don't know how many times you could say it, but it's, again, you have to hear it over and over again. Like how many, we could go back and laugh about it and do whatever, but you were in this space for 3-4 years before I even took it, really. Like you had talked about it, but I didn't know anything about it, and I finally just but sometimes it just takes time. Don't be.
You got to be ready.
Got to be ready, and it's kind of funny. You actually start finding out more and more people are into, not necessarily into crypto, but they know a little bit about Bitcoin, or they have, and they're kind of into the crypto stuff, or you start seeing like celebrities or people on TV that are like talking about like they own Bit or they have this or that, and it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But if you're not into it, you have no clue. It just goes in one ear and out the other, and you're not paying attention to it. And that's kind of the crazy part. But I can't say enough about just doing your own research, and then just understanding that they don't want you to win.
No, not at all. And we'll do everything possible to try and stop you, prevent you, put in the news that, oh, this is this and this is that. Oh, this is a lawsuit. Put it all the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Right.
They put it all out there, man. And because they don't want you to be successful. They don't. And if you can fight through it, we talked earlier. We did an earlier podcast, and we talked about this with our former player Drew Waltarski. But you just can't give a shit. You got to get to the point where you're going to do what you're going to do. You're going to do your research. You're going to read what you're going to read, and you're going to still, plug into whatever they're trying to feed. But you got to do your own stuff. You got to do your own cross referencing, and then once you do this, you find your avenues where you're going to get your good information from. But the picture becomes very, very clear, and once you see the information that's truly out there, then it's hard not to see what the hell's going on. Like you say, like I was on you for damn near 2 years about getting on this, but you just weren't ready yet. But when you saw, like I think you said, it was, all the money was disappearing. They were, taking away all the change. You were like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Well, maybe Bree was talking about some shit.
Maybe I need to start looking into it.
Yeah, but when you did, you're like, oh shit. How have they been doing this for this fucking long? And then I didn't know about this.
And the thing is it's not, you can sit there and people are going to have their own opinions. And like we've talked about, like we touched on before, like we were talking to Drew, like people will sit there and call you stupid and think you're an idiot and do all this kind of shit. But when you sit there and it's like, I remember, I think I kind of dove into it a little bit. And then I think I was asking like, who do you watch? And I started watching Kevin Cage and like Brad Kimes. Those are kind of the first two, but then you start like diving into a couple more guys. But it's not complicated when you're watching those videos and they're pulling up. And when you watch those videos, guys, you don't see the person. It's it's a YouTube video, but they essentially have like they're sharing their computer screen and they're showing you all the info. And so talking about it, they're showing you the article, and so you could literally sit there. And most of the time, they'll tell you where it's at, or they'll link it in their description.
Description.
But you could go do the research yourself. So if you want to sit there and be like, is that really true? Like you could go look and go pull it up on the government website or go pull it up on whatever website and actually say, oh yeah, it is true. Like you could prove it to yourself that it's there. And so when and it's one of those, like, you know, as long as it took me to get into it, it didn't take me very long to start going, oh shit. Like, I mean, again, you watch a couple videos and it's like they're giving you the evidence. Like, here it is. Here's this government document. Here's this executive order. Here's this whatever. You know, and we talk about,
nice picture.
And we talk about all the time how Ripple's been with the government, but like I said, 2017 or 2016, Trump signed an executive order and did all the shit. And Ripple was one of the only Ripple, and I forgot who else it was, but there was two fintechs in there.
Yeah, R3 is the other one.
Yeah, R3, which they're linked with Ripple. That they're named in the executive order, and they're giving, like, basically being consulted on. Like, so when you sit there and say like, oh, okay, but they're not working with the government, like, that's why all this
can't make it up, man.
Can't make it up. But when you
make it up,
when you see that on a YouTube video and you go, really, and then you go pull up the executive order, because you can go pull up all those bills. You could, just like you could pull up the stimulus bills to see what everybody was, you know, they're passing or whatever. But people don't want to go look that info up. But you can go look
how much money they're sending out of the country.
Yeah, you can go look at the 1,000-page bill, or like the executive order, like whatever many pages it was. It was like 400 pages. But you could go look it up and you could search the documents and you could do
find.
Yeah, Control F, or, you know what I mean? Or if you're on your phone, you just, you know, whether it's Apple or whatever, there's ways for you to do it. But and just type in Ripple or type in whatever, you know, that they're talking about.
Search the word out.
It's so when you can start doing that, it just starts opening your eyes. You're like, it's not hard to, it's harder to sit there and go like, this isn't happening, after you see a few videos than you actually start going, wow, this is happening.
No, the more you do research, the more you pretty much get to the point where, how can this not happen? Why are they? What are they waiting for?
Yeah,
like everything's in order. Like what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Because there is no coming back, regardless of who, you know, gets in or whatever. There is no. The world is going to dictate this, and 90% of it has already said that this is happening.
And we're not turning back. Like, we're already moving on. And you know, there's other obviously conspiracies about the pandemic. We won't get into that, but it was almost like, I think I said before, not a reason, but it fast forwarded everything.
Yes.
And so it kind of accelerated it, and it's in the forefront. And when you sit there and look at, again, I don't know, I just can't say enough. Like, do your research. Like, when you sit there and just, when we're looking at stuff and we're seeing news every day, even when I started in on it, you would talk about it, you'd see news every day, but it's like, when I was looking at it, this was back in March, or it was like May. I remember looking, it was like, oh, you'd see something a day, like one thing a day. It was like one new kind of, and you'd have to kind of do yours, but then it started turning into like, oh, there's two articles a day. And then now it's like, it may be only like 2 or 3, but it's, I mean, sometimes, most of the time, it's like multiple things a day. But when you see the news now, it's like, you know, it's news like the new OCC guy. Like, you're like, fuck. It's like, it's major news. It's not like like, oh, partnership with whoever, whoever. And
when I started going like hard on Facebook, it was around June-ish, but that's when like the articles, the news that was coming up, because, you know, it was like you said, it was like one article here, whatever the case may be, but it really started picking up in June, and that's when I was just like, well, shit, I got to start telling people, fuck this, I'll feel bad. So I started pushing out, but now compared to June, like it's
almost like you can't keep up with it, like, unless it's like what you're doing. But
like, I went back to work and I feel lost.
Yeah,
because my 3 weeks got up. You know, y'all know I'm a counselor, so we're on the school schedule. But I was in tune. I was lockstep with everything. But since this last week, man, I've been out.
It's hard to keep up. Yeah, it's because so much news. It's hard to keep up with. But you look on, like, Twitter is, and like I talked about, as great as social media is, and as bad as
Twitter,
can be.
Cesspool of people on Twitter, but it's a great place to get information.
Great place for information, and you can touch into, obviously follow follow the podcast on Twitter, but and we retweet a ton of stuff. But just look at the people we follow because especially the podcast, like we kind of just stuck it to obviously some sports stuff, but the crypto space we kind of stuck to just following. We're not following a bunch of random ass people. But there's so much info. Like honestly, like we haven't talked about him, but XRP Crypto Wolf, like he's got Twitter, Instagram. He posts so much shit.
Yeah,
like almost it's overwhelming.
Mickey B Fresh.
Mickey B Fresh is all over it. Like they post so many articles, and again, we've talked about it before. Like they're doing it to help everybody else. Like they're not. They're going to do the information themselves. They don't have to post it. And so they're posting you all this info.
Think of it like this. So I shot you guys that Mickey B Fresh video today on the Flare, because I don't know. I tried to read about exactly what's going to happen with Flare and how you can earn money on Flare. Right. This cat put out a 20-minute video today that just breaks Flare down. It's something that you can watch 2-3 times, and then he's going to continue putting these videos out about Flare, because with the Spark token, like if you got your XRP before the 12th, they took a snapshot, right. And then if you're going to get the Spark token, you're going to be able to collateralize XRP with that, but you're going to be able to earn dividends off of that. And then you're also going to be in line for another airdrop. And basically this cat is telling you, how you can get the passive income. And the earlier you start in this, because they're starting, what they have to do, they got to start this program. We'll start this coin and start this infrastructure up. And they're using us to do it. So all the dividends and all that kind of stuff are going to be there for the early people that get started. This cat is over here breaking this shit down. He broke down over 20 minutes.
Right. And that's the thing what I'm trying to explain is like, they don't have to do this shit. Like they have their, they're on YouTube and they're getting, I'm sure all the followers and stuff, they're getting paid for some of the stuff, but it's not like they need to do it. And a lot of those guys still have jobs. They're still doing their normal thing. And they're just doing this extra shit to put the info out. And it's just crazy. And you sit there and you could watch other dudes that are in the crypto space that, you talk about the dividends and passive income, and there's so many other, and I'm not saying dive into it because we've got into it and we ended up losing some money on stuff, but there's so many other places where your crypto can earn, like you essentially earn crypto, like we've talked about on BitTrue and Nexo, which are you see some of these dudes that they're earning like tons of money just sitting, like literally just collateralizing their crypto. And it's like I remember one guy I was watching and he was like, it just little shit here and there, and he's going back and forth, and he like calculated, like he on one of his videos like added up all the shit that he has collateralized and how much he earns per day. And it was like, and he's like, I'm on the small end, and it's like he was like $140 a day that he was just earning off of shit that's
7 days a week.
That shit that's on 10 cents. Like you know what I mean? But he's got so much of it because he's gathered it over time, and then it just keeps rolling over. So he's earning more and more every day. But he's at a point now where it's like, and he still does, again, still working, still doing his thing. But he's like, literally, it's passive income. It's making money. My money's making money.
Money's working for you. That's what they don't want.
Right.
They don't want 330 million people doing that.
Right.
Because then that disrupts their system.
It disrupts their system, and that's where people were kind of clowning on all the Ripple and XRP stuff, because Ripple and XRP were so involved with the banking systems but then you talked about, the Flare network is what's opening that up. And so it's you can still do the XRP, but there's we got the other Flare network where you can start collateralizing stuff, and obviously we've touched on down the road we essentially be able to become our own central banks and loan out stuff and make money. But I mean, that's down the road, but it's just one of those things, like they don't want people to do it. And so that's where these regulations and the oversight of everything's going to start coming into play. But at a certain point, they started talking about in Europe, HSBC, shit, like I think it was like 82 or 100, maybe it was 182 branches. And because people are going to digital banking.
Yeah, because they don't need them.
They don't need them, and so they went. There's so many people that went away from the traditional banks
Well,
in Europe that they
here
ended up closing all these sites.
we touched on this last time. You know, it's not going to stop with finance. It's going to be real estate. It's going to be law. It's going to be anything that can be digitized and made faster.
Yep. And how
And it's as simple as that.
it's just like we talked, a little bit earlier and talked on last week, like the COVID vaccine, like to be able to track that through a blockchain, like it's automated. So again, you don't need the middleman. And,
Nope.
And so
Open source, anybody can look at it. It's
right. And so who's to say that, you touched on real estate and stuff, like at some point, like what do I need, like not necessarily a real estate agent, but like all the middlemen that do all the shit, like the loan officers and all that stuff for buying a house.
Here's the thing. How hard is it for you to go on Zillow or Redfin or whatever the case may be and find your own house?
Yeah, you don't need a real estate agent, essentially.
And then on top of that,
real estate agent is for all the paperwork.
Yeah, when they automate the whole escrow process, and you're just basically signing your name in, and everything else gets automated, and then it's on smart contracts, then who do you really need?
Right, and it goes back to it's just again rabbit holes, but we go back to like the automated the kiosks at McDonald's.
Yep.
When people like, oh, we need $15 an hour, like, what do you think these big money corporations are going to pay you $15 an hour to flip burgers? They're not.
No, they're gonna go get Flippy, that works at $2 a night. No, that's the freaking name of the damn flipper.
The burger.
The thing is, it works for $3 an hour and never takes a break.
And that's
never complains, never does anything.
And that's the thing that people don't understand is they think like, oh, I'm gonna get 15, but no, you're not. Now there's gonna be less jobs.
Yeah, they're gonna go another way.
And that's where we start touching on, the universal basic income and doing all that. And obviously another rabbit hole, but it's if anything can be automated, they're going to do it because they're going to be able to save money. Yep. And you want to fight with minimum wage, and you want to fight with this and that and the other. Okay, well, we're going to automate it because we have the technology to do it, and then we're just going to give you money because you're going to do A, B, and C, and D, and you're already like it.
The thing is they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah,
it's everything that can be automated will be automated.
Right.
It's just where we're going. And all those, all those jobs are going to go away. And universal basic income is going to be, it's going to have to be, because even after, think of it, even after, you might have those, that small business owner or whatever the case may be that can maybe get their business back going or whatever, but a lot of stuff, they're not going to be able to come back. Yep. And then those type of jobs that can be automated will be automated. Then what? What are you going to do with all those people?
You got to do something. Like that's the kind of the scary part. We've talked about it multiple times. You get into that situation. It's like, okay, well, what do you do with all those people that have no jobs? And to be honest, it's almost like the pandemic. Again, rabbit hole, but it's setting up to. It's almost like the preparation of it.
Accelerated everything.
Well, and they're kind of figuring out what they can do, what they can't do.
They don't relinquish power.
Right.
Just like after 9/11, whatever they took away after 9/11, we still ain't got that bad.
Right.
So do you think they're gonna give anything back now?
I mean, talk about technology. Talking to Drew earlier, like he made the comment about the phones, like the algorithms and stuff on your phones, and tracking, like you're on social media and like essentially tracking how your face reacts to certain things, and then you start seeing more of it, and it's like it's kind of scary, and you sit there and you always laugh at people. I do it too. You do it, but you put like your like tape or whatever over like the webcam on your laptop or computer. And you sit there and think about it. You don't think about the phone because you're just on it all the time, but it's got that front facing camera.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary. Like the fact that they can, and again, I've touched on it before, like how could I sit here, my phone's off and I could be talking about whatever and then flip it on and go look at Instagram or Facebook or something, and all of a sudden there's an ad from something I had talked about, never searched on it before, nothing. And it's on my phone. Like the technology that's out today is it.
Man,
We have no clue what they can
they
do.
are. They are. I'm telling you, they are remembering everything. You look up quantum computing and AI, and they're merging that shit. Like they can all of it is being stored. They're making little avatars of everybody. I'm telling you.
Well, it goes back to the, again, the crypto with the ledger. Like everything's going to be transparent. So like
Yeah.
they'll know.
They can put it on the cloud. They can
Yep.
put it on the cloud.
Going
multi-billion-dollar companies will be on the cloud.
no more of taking cash out and whoever, like John wanting to hide the fact that he goes and buys porn from his wife, like so he goes and takes cash out. Like that's not going to happen anymore. Like it's going to be all tracked. Like you know what I mean? There's no more hiding with what you're buying, and it goes back to, again, it's like the ads on Facebook. Like they're going to figure out what people are buying, what you're buying, and they're going to try to sell you on more of it. And so like,
eventually, like if you go look at the World Economic Forum, they put out a couple of videos, and I was watching the videos, and they were talking about, when you think about just what we were talking about with Facebook, they got smart refrigerators, man.
Yeah,
smart refrigerators that know what you have in it, and that will see that something is low and automatically order for you to be delivered. Like, go look at the World Economic Forum and the stuff they say that you'll love by the time 2030 comes rolling around.
That's
they're not playing.
Talk about doing your own research, but the World Economic Forum, like, it's not like some random ass like conspiracy tinfoil hat theory website. Like it's like
unelected world leaders.
Yeah, and you go back and look at it, and it's like talking about the Great Reset, and it's talking about the financial reset, and talking about but people don't want to pay attention to it, and and it's, again, what rabbit hole do you want to go down? You want to go down like, oh, that's a cool car, or that guy's funny, let me go watch some of his stand up, or like you actually want to like spend some time learning.
Yeah, about the people who are literally have effect over the way you live.
Yeah,
as we're seeing now.
Right, and you're just, and again, we've touched about it before, but like there's so much black and white now. Like it's not a race thing, but there's no thought. Like there's no empathy. There's no thought. There's no like you've talked about. Like I could totally.
It's Sith Lord, man. Either you're with me or you're against me.
And that's the thing. Is,
like, wait, hold on a second, man.
Is you can't have a conversation with somebody and literally like sit there and like have them, like, if I'm telling like perfect, like me and you just sitting here shooting the shit, obviously we kind of think the same way and we're researching the same stuff and whatever, but we couldn't have a conversation together like with somebody else without them calling us a fucking idiot. We have no idea what we're talking about. And we're loony. Like we're this, that, and the other, instead of just somebody going, oh, really? Let me take a look at that. Like, let me actually, like,
oh, that wasn't an executive order?
Yeah.
Oh,
you're a liar.
Executive order.
You're a liar, and you're this, that, and the other, and you're like, okay, but they're right. It's just, it's crazy to me that there's no more like thinking going on in the world. It's all just programmed. Like you're programmed to think this way, and that's how you're going to think. And if you think the other way, you're
a conspiracy guy.
Yeah, but
whatever. I'll take it.
Same here.
I'll take it now, and I'll take it 2 years from now too.
Yep, definitely. So that'll be it for us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed another episode of Out on the Hop Podcast. Peace.